What's the name of it?
Reducing doorbell reactivity. Or something like that.
All right. And remember, we're going to put this on YouTube later, so remember what they were saying of like talking about the name of the, like, you know, restating at the beginning. So that way if people are watching on YouTube afterwards, they have a good understanding.
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Saying when the live starts, because it's live now, but you know, as people pick up in here, just when you start it, just restate what you're doing, because YouTube doesn't see the thing here.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, cool. Alrighty, so it's live?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Sounds good. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another evening hand feeding live stream. Excited that you guys could be here for tonight's lesson. With Atlas here, we are going to work on reducing doorbell reactivity. So what I have done, and this isn't something that you have to do at home, but this just makes it easier for me in training. Normally when I'm working with dogs that have doorbell reactivity, I play it on my phone. It doesn't seem to work as great. So I actually went out and got a wireless doorbell system. It was like $10 at Walmart. So essentially what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to ring the doorbell, and that sound is going to prompt Atlas to get onto his dog bed. Now, if you're going to be doing this at home, you don't necessarily have to have an elevated dog bed like this. You can just have a regular dog bed that your dog has. If your dog is crate trained, you can condition them to go to the crate instead. I've never tried this before. This is just a random idea that I had, so I thought that I would give it a try. So you're actually seeing training in real time of not just of the dog, but then also myself as well, as I try and figure out how the process and system is going to go. So a couple of different things that you're going to need. You're going to need a dog bed, you're going to need a dog, you're going to need food. I'm just using Atlas's kibble. That's all that I'm going to be using. I'm not using any treats or anything like that. And then I'm going to be using a clicker. If you don't use a clicker, just use a verbal marker like good or yes. And then you're also going to need a leash as well. So I'm gonna set down my little sound thingy here. My throat is just like super, super dry. One second.
Sip, 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 sip.
Okay, so essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a leash on him for guidance. Just like here. He doesn't have a normal collar on because he just uses his e-collar, but I do have a prong collar on him, but I'm not going to be using that for anything at all. It's just something to clip my leash onto. You can just use a regular flat collar at home. You can use a slip lead. So what I'm thinking of
I flipped to my face on accident for a second.
So my process and thinking of what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to ring the doorbell, and I have it just right here so that way I can press on it. And then as soon as that happens, I'm not going to say anything to him. I'm just going to lead him to the dog bed, and then I'm going to click as soon as all 4 paws hit the dog bed, and then I'm going to reward him, okay? So I'm going to try this around like 10 to 15 different times, and see how far we can get. So it is 7:07 right now, so let's see how long it takes to condition a sound to prompt a behavior.
Once again, this is Atlas's first time doing this, right?
Yeah, this is Atlas's first time doing it. This is my first time.
So maybe for the people at home that are just like, I don't know, does this apply to me? Where if you're just like a commoner and you're stumbling here for the first time, what could this help?
What could this help with?
Yeah, how could this benefit people at home? Beyond the obvious, like.
How can this help? Oh, so.
How does this help their dog?
Well, it helps their dog to. It's one less thing to be reactive to another triggering thing that triggers their anxiety. It's another way that you can implement some structure and boundaries into your home and just give your dog a better state of mind. Doorbell reactivity is such a big thing because you don't get to practice it very often. Usually when the doorbell rings, you're busy trying to, go open it for the mailman or for your guest that's coming. And it's like such a high stress situation, not just for the dog, but a lot for the owner as well. So if you can get this under control and condition your dog to go to a place when the doorbell rings, it's less stress for everyone. So it reduces anxiety. It just helps in your training, your relationship with your dog. It's another thing where you can show your dog, hey, you're stressed about this? Don't worry about it, dude. I totally got it. Don't worry about it. So another way that you can show your dog some leadership. So we're going to go ahead and get this started.
I'm holding the doorbell here so people can see it.
Good boy. Matt, if you could actually do me a favor, the next time that the doorbell goes off, you see that volume button on the top of the doorbell? As it's ringing, hold it for a second so that way the volume goes up a little bit more. I kind of want it a little bit louder. Good boy. That's perfect, thank you, Matt. The only thing that I'm going to be saying to Atlas is going to be the word break. For those of you at home, you may encounter, if you're working with your doorbell, you may encounter that your dog is going to alert at the doorbell, that they're going to want to try and rush the door, that they're probably going to be barking, whatever it may be. So all that you need to do if you run into that situation is that you just need to bring them over to the bed and then reward them as soon as they get onto the bed. Ignore the barking, ignore the lunging, whatever it is. Just get them to the bed and then reward. They're going to get into the habit of it. It's going to take some tries.
So basically, regardless of if your dog is or is not reactive to the doorbell already, you could use this to just teach them to go to a place when the doorbell's ringing. It doesn't have to be if they're just reactive. Right?
No, not at all. So now I'm going to drop the leash. I'm actually going to see if what he'll do without the leash guidance and just with my body language, what he's going to do. Good boy. Good boy. Very nice. Good job. Good boy. Very good. Nice job, bud. Very good. I know that was my hand. Good job. Okay, break. Good boy. Very good. I think what would also be helpful, but I think it might defeat the purpose of it. So that's the part of, in this process, I'm also trying to train myself, because I haven't watched any YouTube videos, I haven't seen this anywhere else. This is just an idea that I have on my own. So I'm kind of bumbling around and trying to figure it out. Is if when it rings, should I give the command of where to go in his place? But then that almost defeats the purpose of the doorbell sound being the cue to go to his climb. A lot of people ask why I toss the food, and it's kind of like a reset cookie or like a reset toss. I want to get him away from the situation that like we're working in, so that way we can practice it again. Does anyone have any questions so far?
Nope.
Boy, very good. Good job.
Should this train separately or all together? If you have 3 dogs. Simply Mander asks.
Oh, definitely train separately. Most things should almost always be trained separately, just because if I was working with Atlas and Aurora and I told them both to down, and Atlas down but Aurora did not down, and I clicked, then I would actually be clicking for Aurora being in the sit position and then Atlas being in the down. So you're actually rewarding at the wrong time. So always train separately, especially when you're training new behaviors.
Got a few questions. Do you recommend to keep your dog on a leash when someone rings your doorbell until they get it? ?
Yes, absolutely. Always keep, if there's any confusion at all, always keep your dog on a leash. The leash is the only thing that can add direction to your dog. Your dog, vocal, e-collar, whatever it is, it can't add direction to your dog. Only the leash can do that.
Sarah Janine asks, should you still reward when they're on the climb if they're barking? That's a good question.
That is a good question. And I think that comes down to, me personally, no, I wouldn't stay. Aurora. But that comes down to your criteria. If you're really happy that they're able to go to their dog bed, you can reward them for that. So let me put it this way. I would reward that they get onto the bed, but if they continue to bark, I would withhold that reward. So having that, just keeping that from them until they stop barking, and then reward them once they stop barking. Does that make sense? So with something like this, I would work on this probably the first couple of days with my board and trains, and then I would continue to work on it for the entire time that they're with me, several times a day. So if you're working with this at home, don't get overwhelmed and stressed out if your dog doesn't get it in, it's been 10 minutes. And that's how long that, all of your training sessions should be. It should be about 10 minutes, and he's about out of his food. So that's a good period of time. So give yourself, try to work on this like every single night or several times a week. to start seeing a lot more progress. Don't get frustrated and don't get discouraged if your dog doesn't pick up on it super quickly, if that makes sense. Good boy. Nice job. Good boy. Alrighty. So that is everything for pretty much the process that I go through for helping dogs that have reactivity to the doorbell, and definitely something that you can do at home. So that's exactly the same thing that I do with board and trends, but I do it with my phone, but I don't teach them to go to a place. I just tell them to not react to the doorbell, and they have to stay on their climb. So if someone's coming over, I teach the dog, if they're on their climb or if they're just like in the general area and the doorbell randomly rings, that they don't bark and go to rush the door. So I'm kind of adding this step beforehand. Instead, it's a cue from the doorbell to go and do something instead of telling them to not bark and react, if that makes sense. I'm sending them directly to a place. So this is something that I'm going to be implementing into my own training instead of not barking at the doorbell or not getting off of the climb bed when the doorbell rings. I'm going to be teaching them when the doorbell rings, they're going to go to a specific place, if that makes sense.
You're teaching them to bounce.
Teaching them to bounce?
Yeah, like on a website. Like when you go to a website and then you bounce somewhere else.
I don't know what that means.
Like, you know, sometimes you click on a link on a website because you're trying to go to the next page. And then instead of going to the page you thought you were going to go to, they bounce you to another page where they try to sell you something.
Yeah.
This is the bounce.
I guess so.
They're going to go to the door and then they get bounced to the sound bounces them to the place.
Yeah. So hopefully...
Simply Mander got what I was saying.
Okay.
Char Brown says something we need to work on with Ollie. Thank you for posting.
Yeah, of course.
We miss Ollie.
Ollie, yeah, we do miss Ollie. Ollie was one of our favorites.
Bring him back.
And Ollie should be good at that because we did practice on doorbell stuff. It wasn't the doorbell was a cue to go somewhere, but it was a cue that he shouldn't bark at the door and alert and, you know, rush the door. So in those situations, if you have a dog that has a climb command or a place command, when the doorbell rings, just tell them to go someplace that they're supposed to be going so they don't have the opportunity to self-reinforce of getting all the way to the door, barking their head off, whatever it may be. Ugh. Hand feeding is so good for training your dogs and building relationship, but I'm never a fan of having so much slobber all over your hands, especially with Atlas because he's very aggressive when he takes food and my hands always get really red.
Sweet. Someone said, what kind of collars do you use? Yes, we use the mini educators.
Yes. Well, we use the Easy 900 from
E-Collar Technologies.
But we use the mini educators for a really long time, and I really like them. I think that they're a good beginner one. Yeah. I just find that the Easy 900 with the thumb dial on the side is really good.
And multiple dogs.
Did
you want Aurora on this live stream, or are you just going to end it? You want me to end it and save it as a separate video?
You can just end it because I feel like it's getting pretty long at this point. So
all right.
If you guys have any questions, just
I can just cut it. Do you want to do stuff with her on the same? Or are you going to do...
What's that?
What are you going to practice with Aurora?
I haven't decided what to practice with Aurora yet.
Are you going to decide real quick? I'm here. Go for it. You got 17 people watching you.
17 people?
Yep.
Okay. Awesome.
Do it for your community.
Do it for the community, huh? Alrighty, sounds good. Well,
I totally forgot that I could share videos and stuff with the audience too.
Hi, happy boy.
Hey, all right. So Natalie is gonna go and she's gonna start preparing Aurora's food. But what do you guys think about these colors? Got these colors. I'm showing them. See, you can upload a photo now and share it. So we could watch the video that we did.
Interesting.
So these are gonna be the 2020 Canine Performance colors you guys are watching. Natalie gets some food for Aurora there. These are going to be the 2020 color schemes. Hopefully it'll stay that way, but we'll start doing some more merch. And that's a sample. Let's see, what else? What else could we share in this intermission? If you guys haven't already seen, we did do another podcast today, and it's actually up on the feed. So if you go to Spotify or Apple Music and type in Canine Performance Podcast, you can listen to the latest podcast. Today was all about socializing your puppy and why it's important, and Natalie gave us a checklist for what we could do.
Are you ready, Aurora? Come here. All right. We'll work on the same thing with Aurora, but I'm going to try something different than what I did with Atlas, and I'm actually going to give her a command when the doorbell rings, and hopefully over time that will actually have to be unnecessary. What was that?
I don't know how to get rid of this picture now.
Atlas, no.
How do I remove?
Are you ready?
Oh, here we go.
Are you ready? Good girl. Good job. Very good. Good girl.
We have 2 people on our team, me and Natalie. 4 people if you include 4 things in general if you include Atlas and Aurora. They're on the team too. Someone asked, Cooper the Melling Dog asked, do you have any videos, podcasts about getting a dog to not have reactivity in the car? I think we do have like maybe 2 clips that we've done before. I'm not sure if we have a full video on it, but maybe Natalie can think of something.
Well, you would have to define what reactivity in the car is for me to be able to answer that. Come on.
Yeah, sorry guys, I'm an idiot. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Good job. Very nice. Good job, pretty girl.
Oh, you know, it'd be a cool little series if you reviewed videos on your live stream.
Very good. Nice job. Good girl.
What do you guys think about that?
Good job.
What if we did live streams where we just reviewed other videos?
Very good.
How about when you bring your dog to a vet?
Nice.
I think that means to a vet, not a bet. I think once again what Natalie was saying is that it's very contextual, the reactivity. People have a tendency to kind of like quantify this as different things, so... Someone asked about reactivity at the vet. I think what everyone's saying is they want a lot of reactivity videos.
Oh, I see. Sit. No, sit. Good job. Break.
So Cooper says that his dog's barking and growling at any person or animal who passes the car, even when they are in another car. Only when he's present in the car.
Sorry, that's like a really big question that I would like have to think about. So I'll have to answer that after I'm done with training. Break. Good girl.
Someone asked for this. Is it the same protocol with someone knocking on the door?
Yeah.
Yep.
It would be. And that might actually be easier because that's something that you can kind of do by yourself. You can just like stand next to a wall, you can knock, and then prompt your dog to go to a specific place. Break. Good girl.
Evie Perez Photog sent a request to be in our live video.
Very good. Nice job. Good.
Pacific Pupco, maybe your Great Pyrenees is just trying to protect you from those bills.
Yeah.
I would let him get the door. I would let him get him. Like, sorry, I didn't get those bills. My dog ate them.
Break. Good girl. Very nice. Good job, Aurora. Very nice. Break. Very good. Nice job. Good girl. Very nice. Break.
Our neighbors are like, what the hell is going on over there?
I wonder if they can hear that. Break.
How do you do this training with your dog when you are the only one home?
You would do what I'm doing is I got a wireless doorbell system. Or you can do it with knocking. I have the button right here.
Well, you could try the sounds too, right?
You can try the sounds on your phone.
Yeah,
too.
so you could go on, like, I think what Natalie was saying first is that she used YouTube videos of like doorbells repeating and stuff like that. But what she's been doing in this lesson is using an actual like $10 wireless doorbell to practice it. Mm-hmm. She pretty much is the only one at home aside from me holding the camera. So you do it the same way.
Good job. Very good. Break. Very good. Who is just the smartest girl? The smartest Rufu? Yeah. Break. Very good.
So do the dogs meet your expectations, exceed them, or not?
They definitely met expectations for sure. I feel like I have to give very few prompts of what it is that I want. And I think that if I did this maybe like 2 or 3 more times, I could probably do this by hitting the doorbell and I could just be sitting anywhere and I don't have to use like any body language at all. But for a first session,
We'll keep them updated.
Definitely very
Maybe we'll upload it as on the YouTube as like part 1, part 2, or something
we
else.
can definitely do that.
Cooper is already trained, almost listening to this. He was barking at the start of the video and is sleeping now.
That's awesome. So I think that is called learned irrelevance.
Yeah. Someone else said, unrelated, what kind of kibble do you guys feed your dogs? Our dogs eat a dehydrated food and using it as a reward is a no-go. Well, Aurora eats urinary SO and Atlas eats... What does Atlas eat? I forget what his bag's called. But it looks like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. We're actually going to be... We need to get everyone new food, but slowly going to be switching them over to Nature's Logic.
Nature's Logic. How do you control your dog on the leash when you are home alone and someone is ringing the doorbell?
Yeah, that's a very difficult question since you are alone. So I think that this actually what we're doing right now would actually be the most helpful thing, because if you can get your dog to, instead of going crazy and having to have them like under control on a leash when the doorbell is ringing, if you can condition them that sound means to go and do something and they're going to get positively reinforced by going and doing that, then you won't have to try and like wrangle them and control them otherwise. And it's not necessarily that you have to send them to a specific place as you go and answer the door. You can train your dog however you want to. If it's easier for you, if you're the only one at home, maybe just even practicing the doorbell goes off, that both of you guys go to the doorbell and that you have to sit. And that's what you have to do. So make it creative, do it in a way that works for your life. Another helpful thing if you live by yourself is that have the doorbell be a cue or a signal to go into the crate. So that way you don't have to try and wrangle your dog to get them into the crate. They'll go in there themselves, and then you'll be able to close the crate and then go and answer the door. I feel like that would probably be the easiest way.
Cool.
Yeah.
Those are all the questions. Is that it?
Yeah, I think that is it. I am wanting to wash my hands, let Whiny Boy over there out of his crate. But if you guys have any questions, please let me know. I think that we are going to try and continue to do this and get to the point, see how many sessions. I think that would be a really fun and interesting thing to do, is to see how many feeding sessions it takes to get to the point where the doorbell alone prompts them to go to their dog bed and I don't have to do anything. That I could theoretically just be sitting down here on the couch, ring the doorbell, and then they go to their dog bed by themselves. So I think that would be an interesting experiment. So that way you guys have, as you guys are watching, you guys have realistic expectations to have out of your dog of, if I'm able to do it in 3 to 5, or maybe it takes 10 sessions to be able to do this. So you have like a good goal and expectation for you and your dog.
All right. See you guys in the next one.